or 18U divisions for a shot at the trophy. Stay and play with 25% off rooms at Courtyard by Marriott and water park passes included. Register now at thebox.live.
As a rancher in western South Dakota, you know the meaning of hard work. From working cattle to working in the field, you know that the job begins before dawn and can last into the night. You also know that at the end of the day, it's more than just work. It's a way of life. When it comes to banking, you need a bank that values your time and is committed to your growth. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Hanging with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales. I see new models of stand-up and teardrop campers on your lot.
Yes, you do. We're proud to feature the new SGC Armor line of campers from Bontrager Outdoors. Bang for the buck, there's just nothing out there like these new super cool Armor campers and Bontrager teardrops.
And the suspension these campers have? Wow, so impressive.
All our campers come standard with the off-road package. Bontrager and Armor just ramped boondocking up another notch. And right now, you'll get the best price all year on these 2026 ultra-light, ultra-beefy, option-loaded campers and teardrops.
You gotta check out these new look campers, people. The new designs are fantastic, and so many options for their size.
And so many options for towing. No need for a diesel or a big truck. These only weigh around 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, so they can be towed by almost any rig.
Check out these new 2026 Bontrager and SGC Armor campers, everyone. See AnytimeAnytime.com, and as always at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City. You need to know.
BYU head football coach Kalani Sitake is expected to stay in Provo and not take the Penn State job. That's according to multiple reports, including ESPN, who reported that Sitake is staying put. Ole Miss offensive coordinator and play caller Charlie Weiss Jr. will eventually join Lane Kiffin's staff at LSU, but for now he will remain as the offensive coordinator and play caller for Ole Miss during their college football playoff run. Texas Tech has given head football coach Joey McGuire a new 7-year deal. Reports say it's worth about $7 million annually, while Boston College head football coach Bill O'Brien will be back in 2026. The Pittsburgh Steelers claimed wide receiver Adam Thielen off of waivers from the Vikings. No practice again today for Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown because of his ankle injury. ESPN says Pelicans forward Zion Williamson is going to be out at least 3 weeks of action because of a right adductor strain. Danilo Gallinari announced he's retiring from professional hoops after 20 seasons. I'm Dan Byer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, we're ready to go. Welcome in. The Nate Brown Show is back on. It's always a great day in South Dakota, you bet. Thanks for being here. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We are live on Fox Sports Radio across the state. KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. We're ready to go on Fox Sports Rapid City. Welcome in. Let's get going tonight. Great guest lineup from high school to college to the pros. Thought-provoking sports talk. Question of the day. All the good stuff. We are out of the gate and ready. You can stream us on Twitter. Find us there. It's X, formerly known as Twitter. That's the official. At Nate Brown Show. Find us there. Watch us live. At Nate Brown Show. If you're on your phone, on X, you've got us. Also on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe to our channel. We're ticking up. We are ticking up slightly in this new era. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. Just search The Nate Brown Show, and then you've got us on YouTube, and you've got the show live right there if you're a YouTube guy. And one more place, Midwest Sports Plus, the new app launched. Been very good. High school sports coverage across South Dakota. And this show is live every afternoon on Midwest Sports Plus. If you don't have the app, get it. High school hoop season right around the corner. Already practice is underway, all that good stuff. So it's a fun time of year. Let's get popping tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show welcoming you in on the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. You want to join the conversation, we'll try and get you for sure. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline is 605-720-1067. Lock that number in, 605-720-1067, the Pizza Ranch studio hotline powered by the Pizza Ranch. Locations in Brandon, outstanding. Also East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, stop by this week. And 2 locations in Rapid City, home of everyone's favorite buffet, your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch. One more place you can contribute to the show. You can get us on Twitter there. You can interact with us there. We check that throughout the show. Also, if you're on the text line, that's perfect. We got it pulled up. The app is up and ready. The Barron's Wilson text line for you is 605-720-1067. So now you know you're good to go. Tuesday lineup, let's look at it. Guest lineup looks great. Jake Sorensen is on tonight from Lincoln, Nebraska. He hosts Early Break on 93.7 The Ticket out of Lincoln. Sorensen's in tonight talking Husker football. Where do we go from here? Thor Nystrom, we missed him last night, so he said, I got to do this tonight. Thor Nystrom talking Vikings. Yes, where do we go from here for the Vikings? This is going to be a big topic tonight. And I'm serious. I'm not going hot take stuff. I'm serious tonight with my feeling for the Vikings moving forward. I'm going to tell you, we'll get Thor's take. SKORNorth.com, live from the Twin Cities. Thor Nystrom's in. FCS playoff time. Sam Herder is on it. HeroSports.com. And Sam's on the show tonight, talking Jacks at Montana, talking USD Mercer. Here we go. Sam Herder's coming up. HeroSports.com. And Dan Swartos, live from Pierre. He is on the way, the executive director of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Appreciate Dan Swartos dropping by tonight. Speaking of the High School Activities Association, so here's a couple of things I want to do a test run on the Nate Brown Show audience tonight. Let's do a test run of who should be in control of high school sports. The Activities Association in each state is in control of high school sports. They are the governing body of high school sports. But hang on here. We've had some developments, and actually this came from yesterday's meeting in South Dakota where I heard about this. This didn't happen in South Dakota yet, but I was listening to this football advisory meeting yesterday, and I heard about how some states are now having their legislature get involved in high school sports decisions. And by the way, you can go back. The South Dakota legislature did make South Dakota start the high school football playoffs. So I have that. You look way back, there used to not be like a playoff system like we have now. The legislature said, hey, we got to come up with a system here to have a playoff. So it's not unheard of, but it doesn't happen very often anymore. And what am I getting to here? Well, some people say, if we need to have some big changes in South Dakota high school football or South Dakota high school sports, why not just have the legislature make the big changes? Oh, boy. So we're opening up a can here. Whatever the can is, you could say. But we're opening up. So one of the states where the legislature stepped in this past year is North Carolina. And so I threw out this question yesterday on social media. Maybe some of you answered it, but I'm going to get into this today. North Carolina legislature stepped into their high school sports activities, and they said, get this, and this is perfect for South Dakota sports fans. North Carolina legislature said, we have not enough football classes. Oh, boy. So they had 4 classes in North Carolina for many, many years. 4 classes. And you're talking, that's a big state. You got population, you got rural. So that's interesting. 4 football classes in North Carolina. The legislature stepped in this past year and said, starting in 2025, which is right now, we're going to go to 8 football classes. And the North Carolina state legislature made that a law. There is no messing around anymore. You can have your meetings and discussions and all you want. We're going to go from 4 classes to 8. And they doubled the amount of football classes in the state of North Carolina just through the legislature. So that got me thinking today, as we always think. At least we try to think. It got me thinking today. What if the South Dakota legislature decided to dip their hands into high school sports here in South Dakota? because Dan Swartos, who's coming up next, I'm going to talk to Dan. He mentioned, you got to be thinking about how you do things, and you got to make sure it's equitable, and you're on the straight and narrow here because legislatures have gone in some states and said, no, you're going to do it this way, and you're going to do it that way. So I'm going to ask Dan about this. He mentioned this, but what if, I have a hypothetical on the Nate Brown Show tonight, question of the day, by the way, what if the South Dakota State Legislature stepped in and said, South Dakota high school football classes, I mean, we got so many of them now. We got 7 classes, and we have the All-Nations. We have so many football classes. We're going to go back to the original lineup, and we hear from our constituents, we want to go to 5 football classes. So that's my question of the day. This is a tough question of the day. Do you want the state legislatures like North Carolina, and in this case, a hypothetical South Dakota legislature? The session's coming up, by the way. The governor just gave his budget address today. So this legislative session, what if you had a high school football bill? You had a bill that said, we got to get back to 5 football classes, and this is why, and this, just no questions asked, this is what we're going to do. And the South Dakota legislature made it, just like the North Carolina guys did. They said, hey, we're going to go from 4 classes to 8. Sorry, you want to cry? Sorry. Everybody, we're going to raise the classes in North Carolina. Well, what if we went the other way in South Dakota? That's my question of the day. I want to have fun with that. What would you say if the legislature dove into high school sports and said to the Activities Association and to the member schools, you're going to go to 5 football classes. We're tired of this 7 classes. We're tired of these arguments. All of these classes. You're going to go to 5. What would you say? You're okay with that? Yeah, you celebrate it. Or no, you can't have the government deciding high school sports. That's my question of the day tonight. 605-720-1067. That's our text line, our Pizza Ranch studio hotline as well. I'm curious what you say, because guess what? I asked about the North Carolina deal yesterday. And maybe it's because they increased the classes, I don't know. But I asked about, hey, can a state legislature have a role in high school sports governance? Does a state legislature have that role in high school sports governance? This is on the Nate Brown Show account yesterday. 62% said no, you should focus on other things. That's about the North Carolina question yesterday. 62% of the audience online said, no, the government, state government, should focus on other things. So how about today's result? What if we brought this into South Dakota and said, we're going to go from 7 classes to 5 classes, which, by the way, a lot of you, you've sent in messages and you hit me on Twitter and you say, all this talk about football and petitioning down and all sorts of stuff, it would all be solved if we just lowered the classes. So I think most of you guys want to lower the classes down to, I don't know, maybe 5, maybe 6. So what if the legislature did that for you and said, this is the books, so we're going to put this law in the books. You got to go to 5 classes. I never thought we'd really get into that, but Wisconsin's legislature has gotten into high school sports. North Carolina's legislature has gotten into high school sports. What if South Dakota did it? So what's your answer today? Let's pull this up. If you didn't want North Carolina's legislature to be involved, this was my question yesterday, you surely wouldn't want it in South Dakota, right? Here's the tight vote tonight. I'm just asking South Dakota. 51% of you said if the legislature made the Activity Association go to 5 classes, you would be happy with it. 51% of you said you would be happy with it. 49% of you say, no, it's not a government decision. And then we did have a reply just now. How about both? I'd be happy with. So he said, I'd be happy with it, but it is not a government decision. Well, you can't have both. You can't have both on the Nate Brown Show. Let's go to the text line as well. Let's see, 605-720-1067. 605-720-1067. Text line open. Listener text, legislators have no idea what to do about sports. They should stay out. That's a text that just came in. Let's go to the phones. Thanks for getting in. You're live, and you go ahead.
So, question, are they happy with the person making the decision or the decision itself? Because I worry that, yes, a bunch of people support the movement down to 5 classes,
okay,
but don't particularly support the person making the decision. And I'm perfectly fine. The legislature is going to make whatever decisions they want. They're just like if, I work for Stanford. If my boss tells me to do something, but then the CEO comes down and tells me to do something else, guess what? The CEO wins.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I'm worried that in your poll question, it's not who is making the decision that they agree with, but the decision itself.
I see. So they like to go to 5 classes so much that they don't really care how that gets done.
Correct. It's just like I don't care how I get $1 million. I don't care how I get $1 million. I just care that I get $1 million.
That's interesting. That might be the case. We want 5 classes so much. If the legislature says it, we're on board with it. It's kind of split. Well, how about you?
I am, I'm on board with the legislature making any decision that they want because, they're the big boss at the end of the day anyway. But I don't think every decision needs to be made by the legislature. They need to make big, large, overarching decisions. And if there's something the High School Activities Association isn't moving on that the legislature thinks they need to move on, do it that way.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
South Dakota High School Activities Association make the decisions until they refuse to.
Sure. Appreciate you. Good stuff. Thanks for getting in. 605-720-1067. I get that. That's why I did a little test run. It is a little test run. It's not a trick question. But the North Carolina legislature stepped in this year and said, we need to go from 4 classes to 8 classes in North Carolina. And I mean, can you imagine if that happened in South Dakota, though? But we got mad when we went to 7 classes, right? Can you imagine if the legislature doubled it and the legislature said, we're going to go from, jump up to 8 classes in South Dakota, for example. We're going to go from 5 to 8. I think people would lose their minds. North Carolina just did that this year. Legislatures getting into high school sports. What's appropriate there? And I think that's a fine line, I think. Listener text, 605-720-1067. That's our text line tonight on the Nate Brown Show. Listener text. Well, the state legislature was able to pass the cash payment bill earlier this year. Seems like they could pass legislation for 5 classes of football. Yeah, they did get into that cashless and cash is king payment deal with Sioux Falls, right? And then I think it not only went from Sioux Falls, but went across they were like, hey, we're going to do this for all. And it turned into every school had to be like, oh, you have to have a cash option. You can't just go cashless. You have to have a cash option. And so the legislature dipped into that. A lot of people got fired up on that thing. Boy, you'd think, how would the debate be on the House floor in Pierre talking football classifications? I would be there for it. You could get me to go to Pierre. I would be there for that. I'd love to hear what some of these folks from wherever say about football classification. You think we discuss it hotly on this show? That would be quite the debate. I find this interesting, though. Let's update the poll here before we get to Dan Swartos. He's the one that mentioned some of these legislatures are getting involved in high school sports, and he said, so we got to make sure we're doing the right thing. That was basically his point yesterday at the meeting. I'll talk to Dan next. So what's the result still? It's split. If the legislature came into South Dakota and said, we're going to go to 5 football classes, end of story, here's the bill, and we're taking control, what would you say? 51% of you say I'd be happy with it. 49% still say that is not a government decision. Very interesting. One more thing on this from yesterday. So I just want to make sure where I stand here. People are worried about the football classes and, if teams go down, what happens then? Do they take a playoff spot from a team that's in that class? That was discussed yesterday. Here it is. we aren't going to win the battle of moving teams up anymore. This battle is over. It's gone. I just want to make it official. I heard that meeting yesterday in South Dakota in football, and nobody in that committee wants to have a team move up if they're winning too much. So all you guys saying Sioux Falls Christian wins too much, forget it. All you guys saying Pierre wins too much, forget it. Those teams will not move up. You are not going to force that issue. That is dead. So, what's next? Are we going to allow teams that are struggling to move down? You got to have that compromise. I still believe in that strongly. You're never going to move teams up. It's over. That whole thing, the success factor of moving teams up, it's dead. You heard it here, right here today. That is killed on the floor of the Nate Brown Show. Dan Swartos is next, Executive Director of the Activities Association, live from Pierre.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Stay safe this holiday season with Kidde Fire Extinguishers now at Menards. Kidde home safety products keep your family protected in case of emergencies. Ensure that you have the proper equipment for all areas of your home, like smoke and carbon monoxide alarms and fire safety equipment. Pick up a Kidde Fire Extinguisher for just $19.99 through December 7th. And don't forget to check out our flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Open season's greetings to you all from Menards.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people get into all kinds of vehicles with loans as unique as them. Trucks, cars, SUVs, we finance them all with local service and rates starting as low as 4.99% APR. That's right, 4.99%. Keep your loan local and find the one that fits you at bhfcu.com. Apply today online or text 605-718-1818 to get started. Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member owned and insured by NCUA.
We all know the drill. Packing the car, hitting the airport, traveling all over the country so our kids can play in tourneys in another state. But imagine bringing those tournaments to Rapid City. Year-round entertainment, shopping, dining. Millions in new revenue for Rapid City instead of Sioux Falls, Denver, or Omaha. A yes vote supports the sports complex. We win by showing up and voting yes on January 20th. Join the team at teamrapidcity.com. Paid for by Citizens for Responsible Growth.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Slight chance for a mix of rain and snow this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. Highs level off around 41. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected. Tonight, slight chance of snow. Lows dip down to about 17. A dusting of snow tonight through tomorrow. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 40 degrees.
Out here, we have a deeper connection to the land, a stronger connection to our neighbors, standing on our own 2 feet while also working together. The power to do more connects us all. At member-owned West River Electric Association, it's all of us working together to make today and tomorrow better. This is Co-op Country.
Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet buys cars. You heard that right. We don't just sell cars, we buy them too. We make cash offers to purchase local cars, trucks, and SUVs every day. Tired of listing online? Tired of messages? Or just tired of making payments? Whatever the reason, make an appointment at rapidchevrolet.com for a no-obligation appraisal. It's fast and free. When you're ready to sell, we're ready to buy. At Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet, Rapid City.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold iCar certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live tonight. Fox Sports Radio across the state. Fox Sports Rapid City. KWSN Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Welcome in. Jake Sorensen's coming up from Lincoln tonight. He's on 93.7 The Ticket out of Lincoln on early break talking Huskers. We'll get him tonight. Where are the Huskers going from here? Jake Sorensen on tap. He's a Nebraska alum, so he's got it all covered. Passion, media, he's got it all covered. Sorensen's coming up. Sam Herder's in tonight talking FCS playoffs. Jack's at Montana, USD, and Mercer. Here we go. Sam Herder, herosports.com. His read on the second round of the FCS playoffs this weekend. Dan Swartos giving us some time tonight. Appreciate it. He's sandwiched on the Nate Brown Show in between the football meeting yesterday, volleyball meeting tomorrow. So we got him tonight. Executive Director of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Dan, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate your time, as always, talking high school sports. I want to ask you a couple of things on the football side yesterday. There was a lot of proposals, a lot of discussion, not a ton of movement like, well, we're going to pass this. One thing that I wanted to ask you about was this playoff team number going from 16 to 12 for the 9-man and the small schools, 11B. Do you think this has some momentum? We've always had 1 through 16. It came out of football yesterday. It got passed to go to 12. Where do you think this goes?
It's hard to tell. We've had it up there twice before, and it's died both times. It seems to be that there's more of a push towards it now than there has been in the past. In the past, it's died because we have an odd number of teams, which means there's bye weeks, and which means that there's a potential for one of those top 4 seeds who would have a first-round bye to also have a bye in the last week of the season, because we don't know who those top 4 teams are going to be. And there was, I don't want to have 2 weeks of byes in a row, which is understandable. But, that's really the only sticking point right now. I know it was said that 9B was kind of against it, but, they're the one I heard about the most this year. They had a 1-7 team who got in, and it was 50-0 in the first quarter of that game. And I had legislators reaching out to me about that one. And so we're supportive of moving to 12, but at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to the schools.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've heard from coaches that say, well, I don't care if I'm the 15 team or the 16 team. I just want to get into the playoffs. And so there's still that feeling a little bit, isn't there?
There is, and there's also the feeling, well, what if I'm a 500 team and I end up at 13 and I miss the playoffs? And I get that as well. I'm sure that's potentially has happened in the past. Looking back the last couple of years, it would have been right around 3-5 to 4-4 would be that cutoff. I didn't see any 500 teams that would be left out if we cut it at 12, but it's feasible that could happen, and that's another argument you may hear. But I think with the school budgets being tight, and I think there might be more appetite for that this year to say, okay, do we really need to do these?
So it's going to go to the ADs. That did pass out of the football advisory meeting, taking the playoff teams from 16 teams down to 12. That passed out of football advisory, and it'll move forward. We'll see where it ends up. Dan Swartos on tonight. Football advisory meeting was yesterday. Here's one thing that it keeps getting brought up, but there's not a lot of movement. 6-man football. Short discussion yesterday. You guys kind of just said, well, we'll kind of just keep on looking at this. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, ideally, we'd have a group of schools come together and request it. And we approved 6-man football. It was one of my first years. It was probably 8 years ago or so, 9 years ago. We approved it, and then when it came time for teams to commit to it, I think we had 4 teams, and it was Edgemont, and it was Bison, I think, was one. I think Centerville at the time was maybe interested in it, and then someone in the Northeast. So, I mean, they were literally in the 4 corners of the state and about as far apart from each other as you could get. And so we had 4 or 5 teams that had committed to doing it, and that was set to replace 9B at the time, and we said, well, this is going to lead to 35, 40 teams in each of the other 9-man classes. We can't really justify this, so we reverted back to 9B. But I think I don't know that we'd have any opposition to it. We just kind of want the schools to buy into it, come to us with it. When we approved it and went to them, there wasn't a whole lot of interest. So if there's more interest now, I think we'd entertain it.
How many teams do you think you would need to have to put a 6-man class together?
I mean, probably 12 at least. Probably some in that 12. Ideally 16. That's probably close to what we need. I would say 10 to 12 at minimum to be able to do it.
Dan Swartos on tonight, South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director, talking high school football at advisory meeting yesterday. A lot was discussed. A couple more things I want to get your read on, and you just mentioned it. One of the things I thought was so interesting you visited about yesterday, you just mentioned you've heard from legislators on certain things, and you mentioned some states their legislatures have gotten involved in high school sports. You are the governing body of high school sports. But do you have that on your mind that, hey, we got to make sure that, we don't just make this decision or that decision because legislatures might have their ears up. Is that real?
Oh, yeah, yes. That's very real. And that's not to say that I think we've had a really good relationship with our legislators. And I go up there and testify on bills from time to time during the session. And our we try to be very open with our legislators, to have a good relationship with them. To avoid some of that, we have seen it. It's been a lot down in the SEC country. I know in Florida, their governor basically voided at least half of their board and replaced them with governor appointees. In North Carolina, you talked about they got involved with the football classifications and doubled them, and then in North Carolina also, they had passed the success factor, and the legislature came in and said, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to use ADM and only ADM to classify. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot. I've seen it a lot in more in the Southeast right now. But that's something that's, we're not being threatened by our legislators or anything. We have respect for our legislature, and I think we've tried to approach them and say, hey, if there's issues, we're here, reach out to us, and we'll do what we can to fix them, and they've respected that, and we've respected them. So we've got a pretty good relationship with them right now.
Do you think if you have a discussion around, for example, a hot-button topic like a success factor, where teams could move up and teams could move down a class in various communities, is that the type of hot-button topic that you go, well, this is going to get people's attention?
I probably think of it more when we get conversations around you have to move all the private schools up and a private school multiplier and what could be seen as targeting the private schools. I could see that's probably more along the lines where I could see some legislative involvement and some pushback from the legislature on that. Just because they could see it as discriminatory, and there's a lot of folks in the legislature that have kids or grandkids in private schools, so yeah, we've seen that we've seen legislative involvement and some legislative feedback, I would guess, on homeschooling, on private school stuff. Of course, we had a lot of feedback on transgender stuff for a couple of years there when that was all going around. So, I mean, that's pretty standard, and that's going to be in every state. The out and out, we're gonna take you over stuff like that. That's not really. We're seeing some of that down in the South, but that's not something we really work hard to have a good relationship with our legislature, and they're good people, and that's not something I don't foresee happening.
Let me ask you a couple more on the success factor. So this is a real thing you guys are at least discussing and you're looking at. You had a committee and then a subcommittee on it to figure out what's the right system to help teams that are really struggling build up their program. Now, one thing, is it fair to me to say, from all the things I'm hearing and the coaches I heard yesterday and you guys discussing it, moving teams up based on winning all the time seems like it's a dead deal to me?
Yes, for the most part, unless you're talking about Sioux Falls Christian in basketball and volleyball, and then there's a lot of desire to just force them up. But that's not how it works. You can't just design a system to say, well, we're going to pick and choose, and you're going to move up, but you're not. So that's not how it works. But I mean, by and large, there's not a whole lot of appetite for forcing people up due to success.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. You guys even mentioned punishing teams. You guys see it? Do people see it as a punishment if you're winning and then you get moved up?
Yeah, I think some people have. I think Coach Rummel from Howard had mentioned something about that yesterday, and he's been pretty vocal about it. There's a little bit more interest on the other side. It actually, I got the actual rubric that Montana uses and sort of tailored that to what it could look like in our state, moving between classes of football. They use it to go from 11 to 8 or 8 to 6. But using the same concepts and using the same rubric, what would that look like here? What are the average roster sizes in every class? What's the enrollment in every class? And I have that put together for this group to look at. I think we're going to try to meet next week or the week after.
Okay. Do you like that? Do you like the Montana model?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know that it's going to work exactly like people think it is. Like, I know you've talked to me about Douglas or Stevens quite a bit, and if I put their numbers in, through that system that Montana uses, it would not move them down. Most of that is based on their enrollment and based on their roster size. I think, like Stevens had 115 kids out for football this year, which was same size as Lincoln. And that's, the average roster size in 11AA is around 75. So that's, it's 40 kids more than what the average roster size is in AA. So they don't get any, it's based on points. And if you have so many points, they look at free and reduced lunch, they look at your enrollment, they look at your roster size, they look at your wins. You get the maximum number of points on wins, but then their enrollment is double, what a lot of the schools in 11AA are. The free and reduced lunch percentage is rather low. Their roster size was 115, which is quite a bit larger than even the biggest one in 11AA. So, I mean, it would, like using that system, it's not a magic bullet, Or when you're looking at Douglas, they had 60. The average size is high 40s, low 50s for 11A, and then their enrollment is, I think it's about double what the enrollment size is for 11A. So they don't get much there. Where they get their points is on the win side, of course. So, I mean, I like that. I like it in the fact that you're not just looking at straight enrollment and you're looking at roster sizes. It probably just doesn't. It doesn't apply. It might not automatically apply to some of the teams you think it may apply to. Like a Baltic, it would apply to because they're right on that line for enrollment. They're really close to the enrollment cutoff. The roster size is similar to what 9AA is. So, like for a Baltic, who's won one game in 4 years, it would work for someone like that. But for a Douglas or a Rapid City Stevens or someone like that, just because their enrollment is so much higher and their roster sizes are larger, it's not going to do much for them.
Let me ask you this. On a success factor, Dan, before I let you run, if teams can't move up or there's not a lot of appetite for that, moving teams up that win, well, then the numbers-wise, how's that going to play out? Is it feasible to move teams down and not move teams up?
I think where it gets tricky is in those upper classes because because there's fewer teams. And that's just, you get up, there's fewer teams and the enrollment spreads magnify as you get larger in terms of schools. And so, I mean, if you take 2 teams out of AAA, now are you going to run a 17 class?
Right.
You know, and then you also run into scheduling issues. You know, if you end up with an odd number, right now there's 20 in AA, AAA, so you always got 10 games a week. Well, if one of them drops, now you're at 19, which means there's an odd team out every week, which means you can't do it unless someone has a bye. They don't want buys. So it gets, I mean, there's a lot of dominoes that fall, and, you know, on one hand, I mean, I'm someone who would like to see a system that allows, because I think in football, it's the hardest sport to kind of pull yourself out of that spiral for whatever reason. And I'd like to see something to give those teams a life, you know, throw them a life preserver and help them build their teams back up. I don't think we found exactly what that is. And, you know, there's support for allowing teams down, but that support only goes until one of those teams takes a playoff spot from someone in the class below. And then we're idiots for allowing it, and it's the worst thing ever. So
is this committee going to discuss that plan of the 20% win percentage?
Yeah.
Next week?
Yes, I'll bring that to them as well. That it was a proposal by Coach Swiftwater at Dakota Tech. Yeah, I'll bring that as well, and that's similar to, I think Idaho has that.
All right.
They allow football only. They allow, I think it's 20%, 20 or 25% over a number of years. That's across all levels of football, like in Idaho. You can petition down, but Idaho makes you take a vote of the superintendents in the class below as well, where this would just be automatic. So yes, we'll bring that. I'll bring that that system with the rubric like Montana uses. We'll talk about it, and the goal is to get 3-4 things to bring to that larger group to look at, to bring to our board.
All right. So, I appreciate the work done on football meeting going to happen next week, it looks like anyway, with this success factor discussion. That's something we're interested in for sure. Dan Swartos on tonight. Good information, Executive Director, South Dakota High School Activities Association. Dan, I really appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. Dan Swartos on South Dakota Sports Talk Show tonight, Executive Director of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. There was a good stuff there. Some good information there. Now, one thing is Rapid City Stevens, 115 players. I don't know where they went because the games I watched, they must have been playing video games or something. I didn't see them out on the field. So, 115 players on the Stevens roster. I didn't see them. 60 players on the Douglas roster. I didn't see that. So, I don't know where those guys went. But we'll have to see where this goes. The success factor discussion going to be with a small subcommittee and then to a bigger committee and then to the board. So the success factor for South Dakota High School football discussion continues. And we'll stay plugged in on it. Appreciate Dan coming on. Sam Herder's in next. We'll go college football, the FCS playoffs, second round, some big ones coming up. Sam Herder, his take on the Grizz and Jacks. We'll start there next.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Wrench, and I'm seeking personal injury cases. If you've been injured because someone else did something wrong, call me up. I'm a trial lawyer. I've experience to help you. I also know this, that when insurance companies know that you're represented by a trial lawyer, they take your claim more seriously, and if it is to be settled, it's settled better with a trial lawyer. Wrench Law, 605-341-1111, wrenchlaw.com.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show, powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union, literally my family's banking partner. I don't just say this stuff. I want you to know, being a member at Black Hills Federal Credit Union, the best choice when it comes to loans, rates, personal, business. I'm glad I switched from my last place. These guys take care of my family. Great technology, convenience. I got the mobile app. It's really good. BHFCU. Start there. You can become a member. 18 locations across the state from the Black Hills to Sioux Falls. BHFCU.com. Get started. It matters, from personal to business banking. Start at BHFCU.com. Really good. Appreciate them. Sam Herder's on tonight. HeroSports.com. FCS Senior Analyst. Second round of the FCS playoffs. We got a dandy brewing in Montana. Sam, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing good. Always good to be on. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on. So I said, let's start there. Montana and the Jacks. You just put out some of the lines there. This one's tight. What did I see? Montana favored by a point, like 1.5. Is it that tight? The Grizz are in a tough one here in Missoula?
Yeah, it seems about a 50-50 game. The books have it, or at least BetMGM has it. Montana minus 1.5. So, I mean, pretty much not exactly a pick 'em, but pretty dang close to being a pick 'em sort of game. Over under 55.5 points. So potentially could see not a super high scoring game, but it seems like whoever gets to 31 points first, potentially could be the winner here. I think you could see some explosive plays with both of these offenses going up against defenses that have given up some explosive plays. So it's a heck of a battle. It doesn't necessarily feel like a second round game. It feels like maybe more of a quarterfinal type game. But at the same time, South Dakota State's, when you look at their seed, number 14, when the bracket came out, number 14 kind of made sense for South Dakota State because they were 8-4. They had lost 4 of their last 5 Chase Mason wasn't back at that point. So I know Montana fans don't like the draw, but when the bracket came out, I didn't really have a problem with South Dakota State being 14 just based off of their overall resume.
Okay, so is the Chase Mason factor that big of a factor? I mean, this team looks like it's gone from losing to Indiana State to now maybe winning at Montana, and they just blew out New Hampshire. Is the Chase Mason factor that big?
Yeah, definitely when it comes to just the overall team seeming like it got some of its mojo back, and when you can kind of rally behind your captain like that, especially at the quarterback position, I think that sometimes can raise the level of play defensively. Knowing you kind of have that safety pin as well with Chase Mason, quarterback, and even if the defense doesn't have to play a perfect game, they don't maybe feel like they have the pressure to play a perfect game, and kind of have the backup quarterback or the number 3 quarterback. And so I definitely think it helps the defense in that way. And then, it helps the offense in all the obvious ways of just Chase Mason knowing how to read a defense and going through his progressions. And, the defense has to respect the pass a little bit more so they can't load up the box and take away the run. And, he just looks so comfortable back there. I thought the pass protection was really strong as well for Chase. So yeah, just it goes to show how important the quarterback position is in the sport of football.
Sam, here's the conspiracy theorist. I love them on social media. They were talking about Dan Jackson at South Dakota State saying, well, he didn't say anything about Chase. He wasn't saying anything because then they got a low seed and then they can go this route. What do you say about that?
No, I mean, I don't really think that makes sense to me. If they would have gotten probably a higher seed, I mean, you could have, argued that they would have gotten an even better draw. Had they been able to get up to, the 13th seed, probably would have gotten, a better draw. So, I don't know about that conspiracy theory a whole lot. If anything, they were maybe trying to get a higher seed by putting Chase Mason out there during warm-ups during the UND game, but I don't know. That conspiracy theory kind of goes over my head because I don't know exactly what they're getting at with that one.
Everybody's throwing all sorts of stuff out. I got to get your read on Missouri Valley. They go 4-1 in the first round. Youngstown State had the lead big over Yale, and then they gave it up. But Missouri Valley goes 4-1. What did you think of UND's win? And then you got Illinois State. So some of the teams that weren't seeded ended up winning.
Yeah, it's interesting that, some people in Fargo were talking about how awful southeastern Louisiana is or how awful Tennessee Tech is, which is kind of weird because those are pretty close ball games for about 3 to 3.5 quarters. The final score was much closer than what the final score showed, but it was still, really impressive for UND and Illinois State to go on the road and win those games. And, I think certainly the Valley flexed its muscle. Probably should have gotten undefeated in the first round there, if not for Youngstown State kind of blowing that big lead against Yale. But yeah, overall the Valley flexed its muscle. But sometimes the playoffs kind of has this funny way of doing things where one conference looks really, really good and everyone's bragging about that conference. But then the second round hits and maybe some results swing the other way. And there's a chance that only one Valley team wins this weekend and the rest lose. South Dakota is going to be in the battle against Mercer. That's not a gimme game. You obviously have Illinois State and North Dakota State as well, so one will drop out there. UND going to Tarleton State, that's not a gimme game. South Dakota State, Montana, like we talked about, that's kind of a 50-50 game. So the Valley has a lot to brag about right now. At the same time, the Valley might only have one team in the quarterfinals next weekend. We'll have to see how the results shake out. Or, there could be 4 Valley teams in the quarterfinals next week, and then the conference can continue to flex its muscle. But I think there's a lot of really good games in all of these, except for NDSU, obviously. All of these games have the Valley teams going on the road against some pretty good teams.
South Dakota State at Montana, USD at Mercer. Sam Herder talking from HeroSports.com. The coverage there, FCS senior analyst. NDSU's undefeated, number 1 seed. No individual awards, and people were saying in Fargo, that's a raw deal. What do you say about no individual awards for NDSU on an undefeated team?
Well, I mean, they still got, I think, the most all-conference level players, and at the end of the day, you'd rather have more all-conference level players compared to individual awards, and that's exactly what they are. They're individual awards, and I don't get the argument of the best player on the best defense, has to be the best defensive player in the FCS or the best defensive player in the Valley. I mean, it is possible for Ty Niekamp to be better than NDSU's best defensive player. I mean, Bo Brungard winning the Offensive Player of the Year, I don't see why that's controversial at all. I think Cole Payton was certainly deserving of it. At the same time, I think you look at what Bo Brungard did, and he was certainly, deserving of it as well. And I understand, disagreeing, Cole Payton should have won that award. But at the same time, I don't think it's some big controversial thing that NDSU didn't get any individual awards, because that's exactly what it is. It's individual awards. I mean, Ty Niekamp is elite. Bo Brungard is elite. I would rather have 20 all-conference guys rather than having the Offensive Player of the Year and then 10 more all-conference guys, because it is a team sport. NDSU's depth of talent is as good as it gets in the FCS, better than anyone else in the FCS, but it is possible. Just because you have the best defense in the country, that doesn't mean your best player is better than everyone else's best player, because it's an individual award.
Give us your feel on the Mercer-USD matchup. USD's been playing well. What's this matchup like at Mercer?
Yeah, it's a really intriguing game, and oftentimes we've seen so often that there have been some good teams coming out of the SoCon, but they eventually have to go to Montana and lose in the quarterfinals, or they go to the Fargo Dome. It seems like every year there's a SoCon team going to the Fargo Dome in the quarterfinals and losing. Now they finally get a Valley team coming to their place, and so really interesting to see if the SoCon, and obviously more specific Mercer, if they can take advantage of that, of having some home field advantage. And it's not. Mercer has a nice stadium. It's not the biggest. Hopefully they have a pretty close to a sellout. It's not, Washington Grizzly Stadium or anything like that. It's not necessarily an imposing home field advantage, but, anytime you're playing at home, you like that if you're the Bears. Really interested to see what South Dakota's offense does. They're obviously going to try to establish the run like they usually do with Phillips, who's just been phenomenal this year. They'll test Mercer's run defense. On paper and what I've seen, Mercer's run defense has looked good, but at the same time, you just don't know how they stack up against the Valley offensive line until we see it. So South Dakota will test that out, see if they can establish the run, but they might have to go to the air a bit earlier in the game. And I think Mercer is much more gettable in the secondary compared to the run defense. And so I'm looking at a really big day from Aiden Bauman. I mean, he looks dialed in, and as cliche as it sounds, he looks like a guy who's college career is coming to a close, right? When you're a fifth or sixth year senior, whatever he is, it's do or die time. This could be your last game, or if you win, then next week could be your last game. He looks like a guy who is just not willing his team to win, but you could tell that this is my last potentially few games here now that the playoffs have hit. So I expect a really sharp performance from Bauman.
He's played well. USD at Mercer, the Jacks at Montana, really good. Second round games, really interesting. Sam Herder's covering it. Follow him at Sam Herder FCS and find him at herosports.com. FCS senior analyst. Sam, good to have you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
See you. Sam Herder on tonight, FCS senior analyst on the Nate Brown Show for herosports.com. Live on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Oh, that'll be interesting. South Dakota State at Montana. That's a really good one. I think the Grizz are weak on defense. I've been following these guys. They not great on D. They're gonna score some points. They just got beat by Montana State. That was a tight one in Missoula. Can South Dakota State go up and pull off the win? The Grizz on the markets at BetMGM Sportsbook just favored by 1.5. Montana, the 3 seed, favored by 1.5. The Chase Mason factor for the Jacks. Coming right back on the Nate Brown Show, let's check in on our question of the day. I'm going to ask you right now, if you're just joining us tonight, what if the South Dakota legislature in Pierre dipped into high school sports and told the Activities Association, you need to go to 5 football classes, end of story? What would you say if the legislature said that? Coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sport.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation. The official strength and conditioning partners for Stevens, Central, Douglas, and the Rapid City Rush, our team at Physio is building the best athletes in the Black Hills. If you have an athlete in the family, we offer long-term athlete development at affordable prices for middle and high school students. We also have the only board-certified sports PT in Rapid City. At our brand new facility, Physio is ready to help you perform at your best. One-on-one physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab, all at one place. Get started at bhphysio.com.
Life changes fast. Starting a business, getting married, buying a house, growing your family. Have you taken steps to protect your family's financial future? Don't let life insurance be the thing that slides. It can help your family during difficult times. Lee Cruz with New York Life Insurance Company can help you get started. He's local and will help you find the right policy to fit your needs and budget. You can Google Lee Cruz New York Life or call 605-360-8804. That's Lee Cruz New York Life. Protect your family.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live tonight. Fox Sports Radio across the state. The Nate Brown Show. Glad to have you on board. Appreciate you. Thor Nystrom's coming up from the Twin Cities. We will talk Vikings, and I'm going to do a special segment for the Vikings tonight. A special monologue for the Vikings to start this next hour. Hang on. Thor Nystrom's coming up from SKOR North, Minneapolis. Jake Sorensen's on live tonight from Lincoln. Are the Huskers making progress? It's the theme of the week. Jake's an alum. He's a host on 93.7 The Ticket out of Lincoln, Nebraska. And he's coming up. Jake Sorensen, one of our guests this next hour. The Nate Brown Show inviting you on 605-720-1067. Be part of the conversation on the Barron's Wilson text line. Question of the day. So let's just throw it out there. Dan Swartos was our guest earlier, Executive Director of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Some good information from him. I appreciate his insight and his honesty and open book there. He was at the football advisory meeting yesterday here in South Dakota, and they talked about a bunch of stuff. And so we got into something, and he said, he's heard from legislators on certain sports stuff. He's heard from legislators. And then He said, when you make decisions and you're looking at things, something you got to make sure you get things right, because some legislatures in the country have gotten into the high school sports side and said, you're going to do this, like Wisconsin. They said, hey, you want to do a success factor where you're moving teams up and down based on wins or losses? No. You're just going to use enrollment. That's it. And so he said the legislature in some states have gotten into high school sports. So I thought, hey, let's throw out a fun question of the day. Maybe Dan doesn't think it's so fun, but I said, what if the legislator put a bill out there in South Dakota and said, I'm going to take this to the floor of this legislative session, and I'm going to say, we have to go to 5 football classes. The debate that happens every year on the Nate Brown Show. What would we do if this actually changed? We wouldn't have anything to discuss. It would be over. The legislator would say, here's the law. We're going to take it to Larry Roden's desk. Well, we'll see who's governor. But anyway, we'll take it to the desk and we'll say 5 football classes from here on out. So my question of the day for you, what would you say if the South Dakota legislature stepped into high school sports and said, you must reduce the football classes. I'm tired of the debate. You go from 7, no more AA. The ESD magic class is poof, gone. You're back to 5. The legislature says it. What would you say? High school sports and South Dakota legislature mixing. That's my question of the day. And boy, it is tight today. It's really tight today. List a reaction from Paul. I won't get into all of it, but he said the legislature has nothing to do with this. The legislature has nothing to do with this. So that's what I've heard, but I'm also getting votes here, so let's pull this up. What would you say if the legislature in South Dakota told the Activities Association, you got to go from 7 football classes to 5? 52% of you say, I would be happy with it. 48% of you say, not a government decision. Not a government decision. Really tight. Really tight. But that's interesting because we normally don't want the government to tell us this or that or this or that. Well, when it comes to high school sports, do we hate 7 football classes that much that we would let a legislator from Puckwana make the call to go to to 5 football classes? Maybe 52% of you say you would be happy with it. 48% say it's not a government decision. You let me know on the text line if you could. 605-720-1067. The hypothetical South Dakota legislature decision. And by the way, though, it's not like unheard of. North Carolina just went in. If you missed that, North Carolina legislature told their Activities Association, you're going to go from 4 classes to 8. They doubled the amount of classifications in North Carolina, not through the Activities Association, through the legislature. Wild stuff. So it's not unheard of. Dan Swartos doing a good job. I appreciate him coming on, the executive director of the Activities Association. If you missed that interview earlier, he got into a bunch of stuff. One is, he said, well, when you look at the teams moving down, let's say like Stevens and Douglas, they've really struggled the last few years. Teams moving down, he said, well, according to their roster size, they wouldn't really fit that model. And that takes into account freshmen through seniors. And my argument is, if I'm looking at a varsity football team that's struggling and hasn't won in the last 2 years, I'm not looking at their freshmen. I can't be looking at how many freshmen you have in your program for how good you are in AAA football. You can't be having freshmen out there playing. So that's got to be a varsity-only roster number. That's got to be, it's not 115 players in the program. So you got to look at how healthy is the varsity program. Well, what do you mean, Nate? The freshmen, they end up going to the varsity. No, they don't. You know how many freshmen quit high school football? A ton. Just ask everybody. I mean, a ton. So there's a lot of attrition there. So you can't be looking at the whole, well, Douglas had 60 kids out for football. Look at their varsity team. There's like 30. So that's the health of how good your varsity team is, not how many freshmen you have that you can count against the number. So we got to watch how we do these numbers. Into the next hour of the Nate Brown Show, I've got a Vikings recommendation. I'm serious, and I want to see if you're on board or not next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Menholt Toyota. Use your phone. It's fast and easy. Pull up our website, click on Value Trade-In, scan your VIN, and tell us about your car. You are on your way to a no-hassle, no-commitment cash offer on your vehicle in under 5 minutes. Bring your vehicle and your Kelley Blue Book instant cash offer to Denny Menholt Toyota and get cash or trade-in credit today. See you soon at Denny Menholt Toyota, Rapid City.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
As a rancher in western South Dakota, you know the meaning of hard work. From working cattle to working in the field, you know that the job begins before dawn and can last into the night. You also know that at the end of the day, it's more than just work. It's a way of life. When it comes to banking, you need a bank that values your time and is committed to your growth. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Winter is almost here. It's time to say goodbye to drafty doors, poor quality windows, sky-high heating bills, and outdated design. And hello to Acclaim replacement windows and stunning ensemble entry doors from Renewal by Andersen. Now's the time to invest in your home and your family's comfort. And what better time than our Black Friday event, where you keep your cash and spend ours. Get 20% off windows and doors plus a Visa gift card for up to $2,000 as our gift to you. You won't pay a dime till 2027 with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 18 months. Call now. This incredible offer is good through December 13th. Don't wait. Visit RBARapidCity.com today to book your free estimate. You don't want to miss out on windows and doors that are durable, energy efficient, and custom made for the perfect fit from Renewal by Andersen. Our Black Friday sale is here. Book today because every home should be warm and cozy.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
I welcome you in. The Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Radio, our affiliates across South Dakota on KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Welcome in, appreciate you. Also here on Fox Sports Rapid City, the Nate Brown Show is live. Two great guests coming up. We'll go Minnesota Vikings talk. It's going to be serious stuff, and I've got a monologue to lead into it. I'm serious about this. I've done some research. It's time to be objective Vikings guy. Can we be that? Thor Nystrom's coming up. SKORNorth.com. He covers the Vikings now full-time. Thor, great football guy. He is in. What are the Vikings going to do at quarterback? Thor's coming up. We'll go talk Huskers tonight in Lincoln, Nebraska with Jake Sorensen. He's our guest later. 93.7 The Ticket, his early break show in the morning. The Nate Brown Show question of the day, getting some good feedback. I appreciate it. What if the South Dakota legislature stepped in and said, you need to go to 5 football classes? Some legislatures around the country have stepped in and told the high school activities associations what to do in Florida, in North Carolina, in Wisconsin. What if the South Dakota legislature stepped into the debate of all time? How many football classes should South Dakota have? And what if they said, you're going to go back to 5? You're going to get rid of an 11-man. You're going to get rid of a 9-man. You're going to go back to 5. What would you say? It's a close vote on Twitter. And if you want to contribute your vote, 605-720-1067. That's our Pizza Ranch studio hotline or the Barron's Wilson text line. Same number. You can text the show. The vote is at 52% of you say you would be happy with the legislature doing that. I'm surprised. South Dakota, we don't want to be told what to do. But 52% of you say you would be happy with it. 48% of you say that's not a government decision. Listener text coming in. Let's read some of these. Small towns love the 7 classes. We would vote out our legislators that kill off 9-man. All right. I like that. Good passion. My recommendation, he said, is to send 12 teams to the 9-man playoffs and send 4 teams to the 11 AAA and AA playoffs. Okay, very interesting. They did say we want to do 12 teams in the playoffs, by the way, in 9-man. So that passed yesterday in that meeting, but now it's got to go to the ADs where they've killed it. They have killed that, dropping the playoff teams in 9-man from 16 to 12. They've killed it every time. I don't know if that's going to get over the finish line, but they passed it yesterday out of football advisory. Listener text on this. Nate, did you watch the 9-man games at the Dome? None of them were close. 11-man games were great. We for sure need 1 less class in football. Well, what are you saying? You said 11-man were great? Except for AA, not too close. Not too close. That sneaky AA class that everybody forgot about. Let's see. Lister text. 7 classes in South Dakota is too watered down. Well, the North Carolina legislature came in and said, we're going to go from 4 classes to 8. Can you believe that? Well, we would have had, whoever's running for governor here, they could win on lowering South Dakota high school football classes, right? I know one of us, we're going to take cell phones out of school. Okay, that's fine. If you mention South Dakota high school football classes, boy, you might have a good campaign. Maybe I should run. How would I do? Listener text. Let's go. One more. 605-720-1067. How you text the show tonight. Listener text here. Nate, as far as having this 7-class system, who's complaining about it? What's the downfall for having 7 classes? Doesn't the Activities Association make pretty good money off those championship games? Well, it's interesting. That is interesting. I said, who is complaining about this, the football classes? Well, if you just send out, like questions like this, and you interact and you see who's saying, I get hit with this stuff all the time. I get emails. I get texts. I get Twitter messages. Everybody said the football classes, and everybody, I understand it's not an easy answer, but everybody makes it so simple. We got to drop the football class. There's so many people that think going to 7 classes has been a problem. And I've kind of come back to reality on this, saying, wait a minute. Maybe it's not the biggest topic. Maybe it's not the biggest problem. You know what my deal is now? If we're going to have 7 classes, can we make sure the teams are in the right classes? Let's stop this archaic use of just enrollment That's it. That's the only factor if it's going to tell you who's good in football or not. That's my passion now. If we're going to stay with 7 classes, which I think we will, unless the legislature comes in and changes it, I'm going to tell you we got to figure out who's in each class much better than we have now. We have to have a better system than we have now. Okay, let me get to this Vikings. I have to do this. I spent a lot of time today on this, and I have to do this. So, second question of the day tonight. Vikings fans, can you please indulge? Vikings fans tonight, who do you want for your quarterback next year? That's it. That's the question. That's it. Who do you want for your quarterback next year? That's my question of the day. Second hour tonight. It's very simple, right? Deep thoughts being offered by me to explore a little bit. Let's think about this a little bit. But who do you want for your quarterback next year? I'm going to throw out some options, okay? Of course, J.J. McCarthy. We haven't hardly seen any of him, but what we've seen, oh boy, a little dicey. You can admit that, right? So who do you want for your quarterback? J.J. McCarthy. I'll give you that option. You have to think about it. His rookie deal and hasn't gotten to play hardly at all, and the whole thing. You got to try and, stay invested here. Mac Jones. How about Mac Jones? And how about Kyler Murray? They're kicking him to the curb in Arizona. They think he's no good. Number 1 pick. He's gone, right? They're kicking him to the curb. There's my 3 options, legitimately. I think Kyler's getting kicked out. Mac Jones, a backup in San Francisco. And your boy, J.J. McCarthy. Who do you want? Let's take a call from a Vikings fan, I hope. Thanks for getting on. You're live, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I've got you. I'm ready.
Yeah, I am a Vikings fan, unfortunately. But
and you were a McCarthy guy.
JJ.
What's that?
Yeah, I want to keep JJ.
You do.
And I'll tell you why. Yeah, Kyler's attitude is terrible, and he's tiny. And he quarterbacks that are really quick like that and super athletic, but they're small. They go off a cliff real quick. And the reason I like JJ is his mental game is good. It's his mechanics that suck, and you can teach mechanics. And he's been hurt pretty much his entire career so far.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about
which
Kyler.
Is unfortunate, and I hope that isn't a trend that continues. However, give him a full off season with like a training regimen and fixing his mechanics, and I hope that we can get an offensive line this summer or this winter, whenever the season's over, because trading and giving a whole bunch of millions to people who can't stay healthy is just absolutely silly. So we're not giving millions to JJ right now because he's on his rookie deal. So the whole health thing is kind of a wash as far as money goes. But we need to get some good investment in our offensive and defensive lines, and we need to get younger.
Okay.
We're a bunch of old farts.
What if JJ goes out these last 4 games or so, and he's like he has been? Errant balls, missing, interceptions. I mean, what if he's this QBR? What if this is the deal, last 4 games? You're still going to go next year and say, here we go, I'm excited.
Well, I don't know about excited is the right word, but you got to give him a chance. And you can make statistics say anything, and I'm not a huge fan of QBR. But you got to look at what he's dealing with and what Max was dealing with. Like, they don't have any time. The offensive line was like, hey, you want to go hit our quarterback? We're not doing anything. We're taking a break right now. So you go ahead.
The O-line's supposed to be better.
You have to take the whole picture.
All right, man. JJ, you get a vote. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Thanks for getting in.
Have a good night, dude.
All right, I appreciate you getting on. There's a Vikings vote for JJ. You know my vote. Do you know my vote? If JJ fails here these last 4 games, or I'm not talking he's shown improvement. Now, if he shows some improvement, you do some things here last part of the season, I mean, the season's over, but he does some things. I guess you got to stay with him just from a financial side and kind of how you're invested in everybody else, and he's on a rookie deal, so I understand the business there. But if it's ugly, you got to, I mean, when are you guys going to start winning? The Vikings window is now. Kyler Murray, he has not had a passer rating below 87 in his career. I mean, we're acting like Kyler Murray's a bad player. Hey, what do you think of this? 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. 3,700 yards, 3,900 yards, 3,700 yards, 3,800 yards last year. 3,800 yards last year. Is that okay with you guys? This is Kyler Murray. Don't even get me started on Mac Jones. You know what Mac Jones did for the Patriots his last 2 years? 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. 2,900 yards, 2,100 yards. Don't get me started on that. Kyler Murray is way better than Mac Jones, and he's better right now, for sure, than J.J. McCarthy. If Kyler's getting kicked to the curb, you want Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, these guys to have a player? If Kyler's getting kicked to the curb and I can get a deal on him, I'm doing it now. Is Thor Nystrom going to think I'm crazy? SKOR North, he covers the Vikings from the Twin Cities. Thor's take coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
All kinds of vehicles, all kinds of loans, all as low as 4.99% APR. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we're here to help all kinds of people, just like you. Get moving. From truck drivers to van warriors, we got the right loan to fit your style with rates as low as 4.99% APR. Wherever the road takes you, start with BHFCU. Apply today at bhfcu.com or text or call 605-718-1818.
Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member owned and insured by NCUA.
Shop the best deals of the season at Splash City and create the ultimate game night all year round. Challenge family and friends with the smooth glide of a shuffleboard puck gliding across the table, or reign champion with a Brunswick pool table. With free local delivery and setup and either 0% financing or a free gift, you only have until Christmas Eve to stop into your local Splash City to learn more about these amazing deals.
Visit Splash City in Sioux Falls, Rapid City, or Sioux City. It's time to make a splash. You've earned it.
Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is everywhere you need us to be. On the sidelines, supporting our local athletes, at our clinic locations throughout the region, and at our Ortho Express walk-in clinic when you don't have time to wait. We're here when you need us, working as a team to make your comeback stronger than ever. Getting stronger, getting better, getting you back to your best self. The life of an athlete has its uncertainties, wins and losses, injury and recovery. In the Black Hills area, athletes can always count on Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, here for whatever moves you.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Overcast tonight with a slight chance for snow. Lows level off around 17. Winds out of the north 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance for snow tomorrow. Highs level off around 27. Cloudy skies. Lows dip down to about 13. Tomorrow night, mainly clear skies. A dusting of snow tonight through tomorrow. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 37.
Kickoff just got bigger. Murphy's Pub and Grill is back with NFL Sunday Ticket. That means every game, every team, every Sunday. Right here at your favorite bar. Cheer loud, eat big, and score with Murphy's game day specials on food and drinks. The atmosphere, electric. The staff, legendary. The screens, everywhere. This season, don't just watch football. Experience it. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, baby. Murphy's Pub and Grill, your new football headquarters. Visit murphyspubandgrill.com.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just... Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
Hey, volleyball families, get ready to serve up some fun at the Waikiki Spike-tacular Volleyball Tournament February 13th through 15th at the Box Elder Event Center. Experience high-energy matches, glow-in-the-dark games Friday night, and exciting play all weekend long. Compete in 14U, 16U, or 18U divisions for a shot at the trophy. Stay and play with 25% off rooms at Courtyard by Marriott and water park passes included. Register now at thebox.live.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show. It's always a great day in South Dakota. You know that. The Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Radio, KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. Glad you're here. Thor Nystrom's in tonight. He is full-time Vikings coverage. These guys do a great job. I follow them closely. I hope you do. SKOR North. You know this group, right? They do a great job. Independent company, put it all together. I saw these guys early on, and now Thor Nystrom joining the team full-time for Vikings coverage. It's skornorth.com. And he's on X at Thor KU. Thor, welcome in, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, Nate. How are you?
Doing good. Congrats on the SKOR North deal, and I kind of introed it there, but you're part of this team full-time now. Kind of a success story in the Twin Cities.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and a dream come true to join that team and be able to talk about the Vikings in addition to the NFL draft stuff I've been doing the last decade. But, yeah, to be able to come home and to do the Viking stuff, it's absolute dream come true for this kid from Brainerd, Minnesota.
Okay, I love it. SKOR North, Thor Nystrom on tonight. So we got to talk, man. We got to talk. You're out there on that J.J. McCarthy train, and there's a lot of people bailing off there. A lot of people jumping off there. Where are you at in this world of J.J. McCarthy support? You were in early with him. He hasn't had a good year. So what's the real story?
Yeah, I'm definitely still bullish on him long term. I know a lot of folks have jumped out because of the first 6 games with him. But you look at the offensive environment and what the other quarterbacks have done in it. I think to this point, McCarthy, it's 8 total touchdowns and 10 interceptions. The non-McCarthy quarterbacks, I believe it's 6 total touchdowns and 9 interceptions. It's been bad offensive football no matter who's back there this season. The supporting cast, obviously, and in part because of injuries, the offensive line in particular, what hasn't been as strong as we thought. But long term, I remain bullish on him. I will say that the thing to monitor with the Vikings is we know some firings are coming, and you wonder if the front office, there's been talk around Kwesi, the general manager, and if he gets fired and some of his top lieutenants get fired and then a couple of assistants get fired, nobody thinks that Kevin O'Connell's getting fired. But if you do have sort of a mass firing event like that, but you keep O'Connell, in that scenario, O'Connell would basically be on a 1-year shot clock. Every time we've seen this happen in the NFL where they fire everyone in the front office, but they keep the head coach, you basically put them on a 1-year, sort of warning shot with that. And at that point, if you go into next season, if that is O'Connell sort of staring his coaching future in the face like that, is he going to be incentivized to strongly push for a veteran quarterback for next year? And then if you do that, and your idea is to start McCarthy on the bench, is that tenable? I think that's the thing to monitor, is the stuff that goes around, that goes on around in the organization, that will potentially inform the quarterback decision for next year. McCarthy, obviously, though, still has 5 games left. He's going to return this weekend from the concussion, playing Washington this weekend. Hopefully we see some improvement down the stretch to disincentivize the franchise from that. But, yeah, I mean, either way, I'm still bullish about the long-term outlook.
Okay, so let's say last 5 games, if he doesn't improve, if there's not a big improvement, let's say it's just kind of how it was, offense stagnant, some turnovers, some inaccuracy, is that a huge factor, these last 5 games? Do you think this is a big evaluation time for the organization?
It certainly is, and quarterback position and other positions as well. I've advocated some of these draft picks they have and some of these young kids they haven't gotten on the field this season, and now is your time to do it. Guys like Ty Felton, the third-round pick, we've barely seen him on the field as a wide receiver. You've released Adam Thielen yesterday. You have playing time available. Can we see him on the field? Can we try to get a developmental look at him? Guys that are going to be around next year, trying to get a clearer picture of what they're going to be on that team or how you view them, whatever. But yes, as far as McCarthy goes, obviously could greatly aid his case and potentially even shut the book on this discussion if he plays well these last 5 games. But none of the quarterbacks have played well to this point, and so it's how realistic is it to expect now that he's going to go out the last month plus and give you analogous quarterback play that you saw last year? That I'm not sure of, but how the team goes here down the stretch, it's probably going to inform some of those decisions with regards to the front office, with regards to the coaching staff. If you bring back most of the people in the front office and you bring back most of the coaching staff, I think that's the scenario where McCarthy is going to get the leash to go into next year as the starter as well. It's the scenario where I think you have to start wondering about the immediate future of J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. It's, again, if everyone gets fired except for O'Connell. McCarthy is O'Connell's guy. And I think there's some misconceptions about the way things went down. O'Connell chose McCarthy. They could have gone with Aaron Rodgers. The organization has stated that with quarterback decisions, they defer to Kevin O'Connell. So O'Connell picked McCarthy for this year, but they're also going to defer to him in quarterback decisions next year. And again, if the equation changes where O'Connell, it's like, I need to win 10 games in 2026 or I'm out. That's the thing where you wonder about this. I don't have any information on this. I'm just reading tea leaves and the history of the NFL and folks in this situation, whatever. Would O'Connell then make a different decision at that position, which, again, the organization simply defers to him on? That's the thing I'm extremely curious about based on what we see immediately after the regular season. Who is going to get fired?
Thor Nystrom on tonight. Find him at SKOR North. He's with the guys in the Twin Cities talking Vikings. He's on X at Thor KU. So this season could be that big of a disappointment where you think, it's possible GM could get fired, some other guys get fired because this season they were all in. Is that what this is going to come down to?
Yeah, the heat is on Kwesi because, this past offseason you spent either the most or the second most cash in the NFL, depending on the way that you calculate that. It was the Vikings and the Patriots were easily the top two. And you had this enormous free agent class that everyone was excited for, and that is bombed. There was a lot of calculated risks with guys that were over 30 years old, and then also guys that were coming off of injuries. And obviously it backfired on them. But not only was that, a colossal miss, but it also amplified what has been the bigger issue of Kwesi's regime so far, which is they have been horrible in drafting. You look back at the last 4 draft classes and how many misses they've had and how few contributors remain from that. That's the reason why the Vikings don't have depth. And so at the beginning of the season, for instance, you go into week 1 and Christian Darrisaw didn't play in the first couple games, and since then it's been on and off the field for Darrisaw. You've had other offensive line injuries, Addison's suspension at the beginning of the season, different stuff like this, that it would not have amplified this issue as much if the team's depth was better. The team's depth isn't good because of the poor drafting. And so now it's, if they had hit on the free agent class, you wouldn't have the focus on the depth is horrible. Why is the depth horrible? It's because Kwesi has been terrible at drafting. Now, Kwesi, there's a shot that he wiggles out of this just simply because of the organizational structure, where Kwesi is the opposite from Rick Spielman, the GM right before him, where Rick Spielman he's the true blue football guy. He's the guy that would go down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl and be like, that's my guy. I looked him in the eye. I know that kid's going to grind. He's a winner, yada, yada. Spielman would unilaterally make decisions on draft picks, and he had a lot more success than Quace. He certainly was not perfect, but that's the way he drafted. It was his conviction. It's his film work. It's his opinion. Whereas Quace, he's the Wall Street guy. He's the guy who takes the temperature of the room. He wants everyone's perspective on it, and then he wants to look at the data, but it's not Quace saying, oh, man, I watched all this kid's snaps going back to high school, and then I sat across from him, and that's our guy. He doesn't make unilateral calls like that, and because of that, in some ways, he could potentially be inoculated. If he saves his job this offseason, I think it will be because they fired a couple top lieutenants around him that maybe Quasey in a private conversation with the owners, the Wilfs, that he can say, well, it was Ryan Grigson that gave me some of these failed draft picks, or it was this position coach that was in my ear that guy was worth that pick. It's not going to save him forever, but if he does dance out of danger this offseason, I think that'll be the reason why.
All right, Thor, this is the big question of the day. I just throw it out there. If things hit the fan, no J.J. McCarthy, let's say these last 5 games go poorly, then there's firings, and then now you're determining, hey, we still got to try and win. Who do you go and get at QB? If it's not J.J., do you go and get Mac Jones or Kyler Murray's kicked out of Arizona? Do you do that?
Yeah, it would have to be someone of that ilk, because you look at the free agent quarterbacks, and it's a barren wasteland outside of Daniel Jones, of course, and the Vikings thought they had Daniel Jones. No one was more stunned than the Vikings when Daniel Jones told them he was taking $1 million less to go to Indianapolis because he thought he had a better shot to start, and obviously he read the room correctly on that, and he's been very successful. But the Colts are either going to agree to a long-term deal with Daniel Jones or they're going to franchise him, so that one's not an option. Aaron Rodgers will be a free agent again. They already passed on him once, and Aaron Rodgers is kind of looked like we thought. It's decent, but he is very obviously at the end of the line. I don't think the Vikings will be interested in that. I think this is probably Aaron Rodgers' last season. So the names you bring up are some of the ones that I've heard. That there's a natural connection to Mac Jones. It's a guy who's run similar system, can make quick reads and stuff like that. But to do that, Daniel Jones, of course, is under the 49ers very, very intelligently gave Mac Jones a 2-year contract this offseason. It's probably what the Vikings should have done the previous offseason with Sam Darnold, right? But they gave him the 1-year deal. That's how Sam Darnold was the free agent. Mac Jones will not be a free agent this offseason. You're going to have to trade for him. So then the equation becomes, the 49ers at that point, they got you over a barrel. If indeed the Vikings are interested in that, would it be a second-round pick, or would it be a third and change? And then it becomes the thing of, if you did that, or if you did Kyler Murray or what, I don't think Kyler Murray's a fit for KOC's offense personally, but if, one of those kind of guys, then, I think some people are like, oh, then you would just put, JJ then would be QB2. That typically is not the way organizations do it, right? When the Cardinals took Kyler Murray, when they had taken Josh Rosen in the previous draft, they traded Josh Rosen, for a second-round pick or whatever that was. When the Chicago Bears took Caleb Williams when they still had Justin Fields under contract, they eventually took whatever offer they could, and it turned out it was from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But typically in these cases, when you are going to replace the guy that you took high in the first round, you are then going to move that guy out of town because it's going to be a distraction. So that's the other sort of subplot I think to end up watching there, if indeed they decide to go with a veteran this offseason.
There is a lot to watch, I will say that. Last 5 games, really interesting for the Vikings, but not in the way Vikings fans wanted it to be. Find him at SKOR North. He's in with these guys full-time. Thor does a great job. Thor Nystrom, SKORNorth.com. Thor, I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Nate. Appreciate you.
Thor Nystrom on tonight, courtesy of the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, SKORNorth.com, Vikings analyst. Let's talk to Jake Sorensen next. Talking Huskers, what does he feel about the program making progress or not? He's with 93.7 The Ticket from Lincoln coming up.
This is South Dakota's sports talk show.
Hey, it's Nate Brown for Atomic Wings, 2 locations in Sioux Falls. You don't need to keep going to the mediocre wing places with too much breading and wings that don't have any meat. Atomic Wings is different. I know firsthand. Their boneless wings are made with fresh chicken right there. The best wings I've had. 15 unique flavors to choose from sweet to heat. Huge traditional wings, fresh boneless wings for game day, lunch, or dinner. 2 locations in Sioux Falls. Just order at atomicwings.com. atomicwings.com.
Mom, can we please go to Waitiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Waitiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waitiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaitikiWaterPark.com.
Santa's come to Deadwood early this year. Dive into Santa's stash every Friday and Saturday at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort. There's $20,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs every weekend. All you have to do to qualify is play with your Clubhouse card. Earn a free entry every day you card in and get an additional entry for every 100 points you earn. Then be here every Friday and Saturday at 10 p.m. so you can be one of the lucky winners who gets to dive into Santa's stash. Next level giveaways only at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort.
We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Since 1928, Connect Home Center has been proud to serve Rapid City and Spearfish with quality products and customer service that you can trust. In 2000, Connect joined the Mead Lumber family, and now they're taking the next step into their journey. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name from design to finish. Mead Lumber is here for you, as they've always been. MeadLumber.com.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Your sports, your show, The Nate Brown Show on tonight, courtesy of Fox Sports Radio affiliates across South Dakota, Fox Sports Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. Thanks for checking in, making us part of your day. You guys make this show possible. We appreciate that. Our longtime listeners and our loyal business partners, we appreciate it. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live with Jake Sorensen on tonight from Nebraska. He's a Nebraska alum, so he's got that. He's a Husker media guy. He's got that. He's on 93.7 The Ticket early break in the morning out of Lincoln. Jake, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing great, Nate. Thanks for having me as always.
Okay, man. You answer this question. You guys have had a great debate going on. Are the Huskers making progress? Some of your colleagues say no. What do you say? Has the Husker program made progress?
It's a complicated question because entering November, I would have said yes. They were 6-2. They led USC 14-6 on November 1st here in Lincoln. Then Dillon got hurt out for the season, of course. They lose that game, so a chance to get a win over a ranked team goes away. And then they lose. They go 6-3, of course. Go to UCLA and beat them to be 7-3. But the way they ended the season with blowout losses to Penn State and Iowa really brings away all progress. So I would say, to answer your question, no progress was made. They had to do something in November, and against teams that have caused them problems in the past. And 37-10 at Penn State and 40-16 versus Iowa is a way to wipe away any sort of progress they made throughout the season.
Okay, another X factor's coming in here now. Everybody's saying Dylan Raiola is going to be leaving. Are Husker fans upset about that, or are they saying he hasn't met the bar anyway?
Well, I think that Nebraska fans probably had the expectation that he probably wouldn't be here all 4 years. He still might stick around and be here, but this is a kid that transferred 4 times in high school, had 3 commitments in college to Ohio State, Georgia, and Nebraska. And so the fact he stuck around this offseason and was here for a second year was great. But I'll tell you, personally, I never thought he'd be here the whole entire time. I thought he would transfer out or go pro early. So he might come back. Obviously, it's still up in the air at this point. But in terms of the fan base's thoughts, they still support Dylan. They want him to succeed as the son of a legacy player in Dominic Raiola. But when you take 9 sacks against Minnesota, 7 sacks versus Michigan, and 5 against Michigan State, a lot of that is certainly the offensive line, but a lot of it is the fact he's just not very mobile or escape-worthy. So there's some frustration there, and he struggled with the deep ball again this year as well. So you don't want to push a kid out by any means, but he has been, I would just say, okay so far in his 2 years in Nebraska.
Is TJ Lateef good enough to go right away? I wasn't too impressed. He got thrown into the fire. I get it, but I wasn't too impressed.
Yeah, that's the big debate here. Is that people are saying, listen, Lateef was really good against UCLA, which is a bad defense. He was really good in that game, 3 touchdowns and no picks, and it was overall efficient. But against Penn State and Iowa, these are tough physical defenses. You knew it would provide problems, and you want to see Lateef do what Dylan can't, and that's run the football. And although he took no sacks against Iowa, you never really saw him run. Now, he did have an injured hamstring that he suffered in that game early, which hurt. But you still, even against Penn State, he did score 1 touchdown, like a 6-yard scamper, but you never saw him bring the element of the running game into play. So obviously, he's a little bit of a raw passer. And I'm not sure if Dana Holgorsen's offense was going to open it up for a running quarterback, but yeah, he left a lot to be desired and a lot to learn from. So I don't know where Nebraska stands right now as we sit going to the bowl game with their quarterback option for 2026.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's going to be interesting to follow. Now the Huskers did fire their defensive coordinator. Bad losses there at the end. I guess that sealed the deal. Nebraska's defense, what was it missing? Couldn't stop the run. Was that the D coordinator's fault?
Well, I mean, I guess in that position, it's your job to make your weaknesses look better. To figure a way to cover them up. And John Butler certainly did a good job. I mean, Nebraska was the number 2 pass defense in the country, so they were very good in that regard with Andrew Marshall, Sierra Wright, Deshaun Singleton, and a couple other guys in the secondary. But like you said, they couldn't stop the run. Iowa, 200-plus yards on the ground. I mean, Penn State, same thing. Too often the case where opponents getting 200-plus yards on the ground. And, yeah, you did a good job through the air, but they didn't have to throw it. So, some stats that helped John out where they were the number 23rd ranked defense in the country in terms of yards per game. Only 1 game they gave up 400 yards in the game, which I know it comes down to more than that. But I don't think that John Butler was a huge failure. I mean, I was a little bit surprised to see him get fired. I understand, like you said, Nate, the fact that the last 2 games were just abysmal defensively. It's not overly shocking because of that, but the overall resume was not terrible this year for him. But, yeah, they got to get some guys on the defensive line. South Dakota's own Nash Hutmacher graduated. That hurt the defensive line this year. Ty Robinson went to the Eagles in the draft, and a couple guys followed Tony White to Florida State and other schools. So you placed like 6 guys on the defensive front 7, and that's just a lot to overcome. That guy like Riley Van Poppel wasn't quite ready yet, or Keona Davis, or Elijah Judy. So the next person is going to be in charge of finding some guys there and also trying to mask that weakness if it comes up again.
Tell you what, Jake Sorensen talks Huskers every morning, 93.7 The Ticket out of Lincoln. Boy, fired D coordinator, quarterback question marks. Now Matt Rule settles in, got an extension. He's not going anywhere. And Husker fans with a couple of tough losses to close down the year. They're going bowling, but the question is, have they made progress? And they finished 7-5. I missed it by one, man. I had them 8-4. What was your projection to start the year?
I said 8-4 also. It came down to the Iowa game. That was a winnable game. Nebraska was, I think, a 5.5-point dog. Both teams are 7-4. And that just comes down to, can you ever be the more physical team? Iowa has won 10 of the last 11 games against Nebraska. Nebraska has lost 7 straight games at home to Iowa. They've only beat them one time ever. That was their first year in the league in 2011.
Can't have it. Can't have it. What a finish by Jake Sorensen. But it's the facts. The facts. Jake, I always appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Thanks, Nate.
Appreciate it. Jake Sorensen popping in from 93.7 The Ticket. Early break, the morning show down there out of Lincoln talking Huskers. Find him on X at 937 Jake Sorensen. Who's hot and who's not? Wrapping up the show next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Hi folks, Kevin McPherson Auction Company. We can turn your property to cash. We can sell your personal property and your real estate at auction. A family business for 64 years and counting. We've sold several millions of dollars in property over the years. We're happy to consult with you on your auction plans. Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
Great news. I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
All right, let's do this. Who's hot and who's not every night at this time. Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, and a location in Brandon, locally owned and operated. 2 locations in Rapid City. The Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet by far. Who's hot category going to BYU's Kalani Sitake. He's not going to Penn State. He's staying at BYU. The reporting today is they're going to commit $10 to $15 million of NIL to the players and raise Sitake's pay to $9 to $9.5 million a year. Boom. He doesn't want to go to Penn State and everybody boo him in 2 years when he doesn't win the national championship. So he'll take the money and stay where he's comfortable at BYU. In our Pizza Ranch Who's Not category, Lane Kiffin's going to let his offensive coordinator, who's joining him at LSU, Charlie Weiss Jr., go back to Ole Miss and coach him in the playoff. So, wait, the offensive coordinator at LSU is going back to Ole Miss to coach him in the playoff. I'm not letting him in. I'm keeping him out. You're gone. See ya. You're dead to me. See you tomorrow.
Auto